and welcome into a very special episode. It's not quite the pilgrimage perspective, but it's very pilgrimage perspective esque. Today, we're going to be talking about high school pilgrimages, but we're actually going to be doing a high school virtual pilgrimage. Today, I'm talking with the two gentlemen who put that together. It's Father Christopher Iwancio and Sam Ranke. They did a wonderful job that you will see uh, in the materials that we will send you and that we will have available to you. They put together some videos, they put together a ritual, they put together a booklet and a guide that will take you through hopefully a slice of what high school pilgrimages are like. And hopefully this will be the introduction to you actually getting to go to Rome and Assisi when it is safe to do so. I'm Andy Trado, and I'll be the facilitator slash moderator slash question guy for this episode. I'm the director of communications for the Franciscan Pilgrimage Program. I will kick it off to you, Father, to talk really about what inspired you to do this.
I would say one of the things that inspired us to do this was the fact that we couldn't get to Assisi this year. With everything going on in the world, we had a longing of the Assisi experience and something to share with high school students. You know, I know with a number of opportunities within campus ministry, I work as a chaplain at a high school, and we don't have the opportunity to do a lot of retreats or any of the activities we usually do. And I really wanted to share that experience in some way with students and with others. It's a little something to hold on to, a little something to remind us of how awesome pilgrimages can be, and to provide almost like a mini retreat experience for those who really have an affinity for Francis and Clare and have a desire and longing to go to Assisi and Rome. And with everything else, I know that it's hard to do a lot of things on Zoom. So we try to offer something that can be offered asynchronous, which means that all the material is uploaded for the faculty and staff of high schools to use. And so that way they can use different activities and stuff. The kids can do some stuff offline, so they don't have to be on Zoom the entire time for the experience. And but have some opportunities where people can interact, because it's really important. It's not just to, hear Sam and I talk for a couple hours and there's your pilgrimage experience, but to have something where there's some presenting of different things and then opportunities for people to reflect and pray together.
I think the coolest thing that you touched on is that you guys did the legwork. And people can use it and they're encouraged to do so, but they also can do it themselves. It is very much we'll give you the information. You can frame it in how you want it to look like and to sound like, which is a really cool thing because you make it so individualized for every single group. And I think that's what really impressed me. And as I was putting it together, it was just an awesome thing to get to witness because, like you said, none of us got to go to Assisi. And yes, this isn't exactly a complete replacement, but at the same time, it is. And the unique viewpoint that you had started out is with you, Sam. You were the first video that I edited with the packing video. Um,
Yeah.
can you give a little bit of inspiration on where you kind of came up with that?
I think it just had a lot to do with everything that was going on at the time. I mean, right now I work for the Seattle Seahawks, so we were in the middle of a season there, and then Christopher and I were kind of tasked with coming up with this virtual pilgrimage. And at least at the time when we were starting on it, for me, I had a lot going on, especially with all the COVID stuff too. And so when we started talking about it, talking how we want to form the videos, make them relatable, people are like, well, what better way to do it than kind of how my life's going right now? Shoving everything in a bag, hoping it all gets to its destination, whether that's for work, because we literally pack the gear for the games and everything, or whether it's for going on pilgrimage, which sadly we missed out physically going this year. But yeah, I mean, that's where the inspiration kind of came from. And you'll see it in the other videos too, how they all mix in. But just yeah, it was fun. It was fun to put together. We let the creativeness flow.
That's as you watch the videos, and we'll show a preview a little bit later. You'll see how creative it is. I mentioned the materials that were given that will be given to you. Sam, can you kind of talk about how to prepare for the pilgrimage, how leaders can do that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, kind of like you guys were hitting on a little before, we made this virtual pilgrimage so that way it could kind of be a Swiss Army knife of sorts. You couldn't just use it for COVID because, realistically speaking, I mean, with all the vaccine rolling out and stuff, this might not be something that lasts for all that much longer. So we didn't really want to make it for something that teachers or administrators could use for only say 2 or 3 months, but like I said, we originally prepped it for the COVID stuff, but then also for that online learning, because at least for myself, I'm not sure about Christopher, but some of the groups that I've gone with on pilgrimage, myself included, when I was in high school, some of the groups just don't have a whole lot of background knowledge on Francis and Claire, or even just the Franciscans in general. And not only does it make it harder on the leaders as much because we have to fill students with more information, but it's also harder for the students too, because there's a lot of stuff along the way where, especially if they were to miss something that one of the leaders was saying, sometimes they just don't really know exactly what they're looking at or what they should be experiencing in some of the places. So it really is important for these students to come in kind of prepared and have a little bit of background knowledge on what's going on. And another part too, before Christopher comes on, and we like the rituals too because it offers students a chance to kind of explore their spirituality on their own too. Because on the pilgrimages we go on physically, usually a lot of it's spent with group time and sharing and all that. But this gives students a chance to kind of step back and kind of get some of that quiet place and examine themselves a little bit too. So Chris, I don't know if you want to add some stuff.
Yeah, I was gonna say with some of the things with the different pieces that we offer in this, it's a there's different ways that can be used because we understand every school has a different situation. Different groups, some people can meet in person, some are hybrid, and other are completely virtual. And so we wanted to offer some different things that could be used in different ways. So, for example, like the reflection questions, they can just be used as journal questions. They could be used with journal and then used in a small group and then used in a large group. They could just be used in a large group situation. So that allows some flexibility of the use of the materials. I know for some schools, like our school here at St. Francis, we have our students are given a lot of information on the life of Francis. So, using a lot of information, using the piece on Francis and Claire would be kind of may not necessarily be the best fit for students at our school because they already have a pretty in-depth knowledge of Francis and Claire. So you can use the materials as you see fit, and also with things like with the prayer rituals and the different activities. We tried to give you different activities. We gave a couple additional activities that you can use. You don't have to use all of them. Just allow some flexibility because you can do this as a multiple, couple day thing. You could do this as a 1 day thing. Just allow a lot of flexibility because that's I think what's really needed these days is flexibility and creative ideas to get through these difficult times. And
Yeah, I think you make a really good point, that you really break it down really well. I mean, you take, like, at least for me, before going on the high school pilgrimage 2 years ago now, you, you kind of, I saw myself in each of the videos. And yes, like you guys are mainly basing it towards the high school kids, but like as somebody who had never been on a high school pilgrimage before, I remember thinking all the thoughts and going through all the scenarios that you guys went through. And it was awesome to get to see that. But at the same time, you allow everyday life things to kind of come together. And I know that for me, one of my favorite classes in high school was called Biblical Themes, which took everyday life events and took them into biblical stories, scenarios, and things like that. And that really helped me kind of connect everyday life with stuff we talk about on pilgrimage. So I remember thinking about that class a lot, and your sessions really reminded me of that class, especially when it came to uh, the activities and things like that. You take the stories of Francis and Claire and you take it to the real world, which I think is a pretty cool thing. And I think what leaders are really going to see their kids enjoy the most.
So, and one thing that was one thing that we kind of took into account too, because we had taken into account that aspect that with all the different COVID stuff going on, all that, you've had a lot of people kind of closed out or locked away, not just from work and stuff like that, but from going to mass and everything, and from being around other people and stuff. And just as human beings, we're wired to want to be around people, and especially other people that have same interests as us or have same life experiences as us. So,
Sure.
like you were saying, it was important to make Claire and Francis and the whole virtual pilgrimage as a whole very relatable to people,
Mm,
to kind of draw them in and kind of give them that sense again that they're not just shut into their home or their apartment wherever they may be,
right.
but yeah, all this stuff.
And I think that something really important is that as we, at least for Sam and I, bring our own personal experiences and the moments and the connections that we have with Francis and Claire, it's really important for the facilitators to share that as well. It's great for Sam and I to share what we have, but we're trying to model that for the leaders as well. Because most of you do not know Sam and I personally well, but the students know you, and the more that they have an opportunity to see your passion and what draws you to Francis and Claire, what are the moments in Francis and Claire that really speak to you? What are the places on a CZ pilgrimage that speak to you? I think that's really important of this is we're just trying to encourage that to happen, not just for us, but for you to do the same for, for example, you might have students who and faculty who've been on the CZ pilgrimage. This would be a great opportunity to have, if you're sharing their virtual pilgrimage, to invite them and to come in and share their experiences. Maybe you share or have someone else share an experience of Francis and Claire in a moment that connects with you or with other people. And I think that's really important, that there has to be a personal connection. And that's something that's really needed in this, as is the connection with one another.
I know for me, when I did the virtual pilgrimage for veterans, one of the difficult things to recreate is that sense of specialness you have when you're on pilgrimage. But one of the things you guys did really well with yours is it's very engaging. You presented it in a way that I really, when I was watching the videos, I really got into it. And I think, you can't recreate the specialness of CZ so much within the virtual realm of doing the pilgrimage, but when you invite people to go in, that was really powerful. And that's really strong with your pilgrimage.
Yeah, I think the thing that really sucked me in was when I was editing the superhero videos, because that to me, I mean, I'm a big superhero person. What gave you that inspiration, either one of you? Because that was such an awesome thing that you guys were able to do, and the intertwining things together to make it not only make sense but actually be like, holy cow, how did I not see this before? Where was the inspiration for that?
Honestly, and you can correct me if I'm wrong on this, Chris, but I think it kind of came back to how we said we want people to be able to connect to Francis and Claire. And I don't remember how we started talking about superheroes or whatnot, about how they were superheroes. But Father Christopher had asked me who my favorite superhero was. I said, oh, well, Batman is. Why is that? Well, come to think of it, I always liked him because he was kind of like a normal human being, but he had all these different gadgets and stuff, and he was always working for good. But he didn't have, like, say, laser eye vision or could go invisible, anything like that. He was a relatively normal person who just used his forces for good and never looked for the spotlight on himself. So I think that's kind of where it started coming from, and then it swung from there. I don't know, Chris, if you had other stuff to add.
I would say that sometimes when you see these saints and you hear these stories, it's almost like, you hear these saints just doing these amazing things and performing these amazing miracles. You're like, oh, that's great for them, and they're holy people, but what about me? And then when if you even look, even with the disciples, even with the people, followers of Jesus, it seems like, oh, they were so holy people and everything, they had all figured out. And then when you really read it, you're like, they were confused, they were frustrated, they had doubts, they had pain. When you really look at it, it's like, wow, they were just like you and I. And I think it's one of the things that's really powerful is, one thing that always sticks out to me is when you go to a CZ, people walk around CZ and, they look at the different images. And one of the most powerful images of the groups that I have been with, the one that connects with them the most, is there's the statue of St. Francis as the knight who's returned home, and it's this kind of this depressed knight who's got his head low and is, you know, kind of disappointed because he didn't live up to his parents' expectations. He didn't, you know, basically failed at being a knight. You know, he ended up getting, you know, captured and locked in prison, and just was kind of an embarrassment. And I think that's a Francis we all can connect with. This is not the Francis, you know, arms in the air, and, you know, like the lights behind him, the angels just surrounding him. It's like, this is a Francis that's having a rough go at it. And you look at different moments of Francis's life, like when you know, Francis receives the stigmata. You know, Francis was not at a good point in his life. You know, he'd suffered a lot, and there's something about that. It's like, wow, that's similar to the things I've gone through in my life.
That sounds like the beginning of a very good homily that I'm very interested to hear the ending of. What we're talking also about, the rituals. You guys put together a ritual piece that leaders are able to use, but again, at the same time, they're able to, leaders, you guys who are watching this, are able to use it in how you want it. What was the inspiration for that?
I would say that I've, you know, we experienced a lot of great rituals on the actual pilgrimage. And I think, you know, as we've lived in this virtual world a little bit, to try to find ways to bring that experience to people. Having had to lead a number of prayer services via Zoom and YouTube, it's a challenge, but I think I wanted to at least give enough material that people have something to work with, rather than say, hey, you know, here's a great little hint. So go ahead and create your own ritual. Here's a little reading. Good luck. Let's see how it goes. We want to give enough material that you can have engaged students to have, you know, you want to have, I know in a lot of the prayer services we do here at our school, it's like to have multiple students read, you know, have multiple students participate in the liturgy, and that's in the prayer services. So that's always helpful. You know, we didn't put any particular songs because, you know, I know with any given school, they have their own particular school songs of their favorite liturgy. So you can always incorporate that. And allow for some room for some creativity. I know for, you know, for example, if you are available to do this in person, you can throw in this, you know, offering a sign a piece, you know, in different ways. I mean, that's something that's, you know, that's capable for some people, and some people it's not. You know your audience, you know your students, and other things might be one of the things that we discussed throughout the pilgrimage experience is for students to offer up intentions. So a creative way that I've done in a number of prayer services, and I just give a little secret here, some things that you can do that are not necessarily in the book in the ritual per se, is you can have the students write out their intention they're offering this pilgrimage for, and they can literally hold up their intention and share it with one another. So there's ways to engage your students and in the rituals. You can, you know, cut the readings out, switch them out. You can switch out the intercessions when they're there. Free feel to do that. We're just providing a little framework for you. It's not something that's set in stone. This is not something that you have to, you know, it's not something, it's a living, breathing thing. And that's with anything with liturgy. You know, you have to, you know your school, and you know your students, and you know what's going to be best. Obviously, if you're online, you probably want to keep it a little shorter. You probably want to cut some things and have some more interaction. If you're in person, you know, you can have a little bit longer format. You can have maybe introduce more readings. But it's really dependent on what your needs are and what level of interaction you can have with your students.
I think one of the things that now that we're in 2021 and things hopefully are pushing towards the good and back to what we used to call normal. I still am a firm believer, and I've said this, and Greg can attest to this. I continue to say the world needs a pilgrimage, and high school students are definitely in that same boat. Everything that they've had to experience. I think as adults, we think about, okay, and you know, everyone is different, but I think oftentimes the high school kids are the ones that are forgotten because, you know, us as adults think, oh, you know, they're only missing a sports season. That's not that big of a deal. Well, to these kids, it's everything. So this is a really important thing, and a time for reflection and just thinking about everything you've gone through and everything hopefully you will get to enjoy once again. I think the reflection questions to me are almost the most important thing, because in pilgrimage, no two kids have the same experience. They might have similar experiences, but I think that's the magic of it all, is that everyone takes something different from places like Assisi and Rome. And to me, more specific, Basilica of St. Francis or St. Clair, Casa Papa Giovanni, obviously, St. Peter's. I would recommend that, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the reflection questions you should definitely spend plenty of time on them, not only reflecting on what you've experienced during the pilgrimage, but just talking about what everyone has experienced in the last year, because we've all gone through this together, and thankfully we're all on the other side, and hopefully continue to do so.
Yeah, I think you hit it right. I mean, the reflection question. The everything is a lead into that discussion. Everything is a lead into that reflection. This is just priming the pump, the giving an experience and starting the conversation. We're just trying to provide some of the initial structure. It's it's really important that there be space for people to take time away from the computer and take time away from watching things on YouTube, but to have that space.
Yeah, and like you said, Andy, there's a need for pilgrimage right now too, because another word you could interchange in there for pilgrimage would be retreat. And I mean, the word retreat comes in the sense of like an army out to war, and they have to retreat away from the war because they've had too much. Their army's beaten down. They may need to re-nourish themselves, and that's ultimately what this is. I mean, I think I could speak for pretty much everyone in the world saying we kind of been beat down this last year. It's been a long, grueling year for everyone for various different reasons, and I think everyone needs a retreat right now, a recharge of sorts. And like you were saying too, with the reflection questions, it's important to take a long time with stuff like that and really let, especially the kids, kind of dive deep and think about what's all gone on in their lives, what's going on, because especially in high school, it's a pivotal moment for them. I mean, like you were saying, there might be football games canceled or recitals canceled, and it doesn't seem like much on the surface, but that's what's building these kids, their character. It's what's building their future and everything. And I mean, not to get overly sappy with them, but they got a decent chunk of their lives kind of cut out from them. And like, yeah, like you said, I think pilgrimage is a vital part right now. I think everyone needs to experience it.
And I think I can speak for the four of us, because each of us has been to Assisi and gotten to experience the amazingness that that place holds. I know several times during quarantine, specifically during those, I think it was 3 months that I was working from home, I found myself definitely daydreaming, dreaming, visualizing, walking down paths and enjoying the warm weather, or having a cup of coffee on the rooftop of Casa Papa, just because it is such a peaceful, amazing place. And if we can offer the kids and the adults who are running this a little slice of that, I think then we've done our jobs. And I hope that this leads into more people getting to go and more high schools signing up to go, because you read all these things, and really it's the word of mouth. For me, it's videos like this, or just talking with people, that really get me excited to go back. And I hope that sooner rather than later. But it is, I hope this is just a small slice of what people, the Assisi, they can enjoy, because it is a place of restfulness. It is a place of retreat. It is for a place of pilgrimage. And I hope people find that experience in this program.
So, Andy, would it be
Here.
all right to kind of show some of the materials that we've put together? Since
Yeah,
we've made-
yeah,
it
no
might be-
problem.
Might be kind of cool to just give some walk through some of these materials here.
Sure.
So,
Yeah, I made you a co-host.
yeah. So we're going to show the facilitators book here.
Mhm.
This is the facilitators book, has some more has some of the answers to some of the things, so it's a little bit more complete than the actual participant. But they're pretty much the same thing. And just pointing out real quick, that's the picture I was talking about, that night of that night disappointment coming back to Assisi. So facilitator guide, just kind of overview of the different pieces. We try to give an activity for each session. There's a ritual at the beginning and opening. Again, use those as guides, use those as a skeleton. Feel free to change and add whatever you want. We'll be making available some hints to make a more lively ritual. We'll be giving you some tools on that. The videos, obviously, Andy mentioned some of the videos that we made. We made short little videos for each session, just kind of use as an intro to the different topics. Free feel to use those or clips of those as you see fit. You may want to have different teachers or even past alumni who have gone on pilgrimage share different pieces of that. So we just offer that. We have some other activities. There's a scavenger hunt, a crossword puzzle. Rather than give lectures on these things, I think providing opportunity of discovery is really cool. And then of course the reflection questions. We really encourage you to take a look at the reflection questions and use those in different ways. So the first activity is the finding of a rock. If you all know, on different pilgrimages, for example, the Camino, people gather a rock and they use that rock to symbolize their struggles or their intentions they carry on pilgrimages. So we use that as part of this. And we also invite people to submit intentions that we'll pray for. So if you submit your intentions, we certainly will pray for them and bring those with us on future pilgrimages. The opening ritual, basic opening prayer, first reading, a little discussion of the rock, intercessions, and closing prayer. So it's pretty simple. Feel free to add things in there if you want to have a sign of peace, if you want to people share the intentions. Those are just a couple ideas. Then of course we'll have the video, and then we have the reflection questions. And so the first session really deals with kind of the what not to do and what to do on pilgrimage, how to get the most out of pilgrimage. But that also goes for anything you're doing in terms of retreat experiences. There's a lot of lessons that could be carried over in different parts of campus ministry. Sacred places, again, prep activity for people to share one of their favorite places. We have a video and the reflection questions. And then as a side activity, we have the CCC scavenger hunt. This is just fun. The kids can use, depending on your use of your school's technology use. This is something that can be done. You can have the students search the internet, or they can do this on their own at home. And for the teachers, we provide the answers. Shh, don't share the answers yet. These are top secret. But these are some of the sites and different activities. It might be cool to share photos of these. And as Andy was mentioning, the saints and superheroes. One of the things we talked about is sharing someone who's a hero in your life. And then the reflection questions match that. And then Francis and Claire, rather than give you a bibliography and have something the kids read, turn in more of a discovery. Have them look for different facts and information on Francis's life. So we've got a nice little crossword challenge there for you, and of course we've got answers. So with both this and the scavenger hunt, if you want to make it a game and give out prizes, that might be something fun to do. That could be different ways to incorporate this. If you're using this in a classroom situation, you can do this as a homework assignment. So there's different ways to incorporate this into a school's curriculum or their retreat experience. And then again, we challenged in session 4 to do some sort of service activity, and we have the video and some more reflection questions. And again, a closing ritual, something with just a simple opening prayer, a little reading and some responsorial psalm, and then a gospel. Feel free to use another gospel reading. You can have a student share. Here, there's different ways to incorporate different liturgical things. You know what you do in your school, and it works with your kids. So I always encourage you to use what your students respond best to. And that's it. So that's kind of just a rundown of some of the different things that exist both in the facilitator's guide, and for the most part, all of that is in the participant book. And feel free to use as much or little of that as you want. This is here to help you craft the best virtual pilgrimage experience for your students.
And like we mentioned before, we have a video session or a video in each of the 4 sessions. I was able to splice together what it might look like. So this will kind of give you a good preview about what to expect when you are sharing this with your students.
Hello, my name is Sam Ranke.
And I'm Father Christopher Awancio.
We are here to help you get the most out of your pilgrimage. Whether you are walking the Camino or going to Assisi, there is a lot you can do that will make your pilgrimage a transformative experience for you.
All right, this should about do it. If I can just get this shut. There we go. Finally. Uh-oh. Father Christopher.
Hello? Hey, Father Chris, how's it going? Oh, good. Just finished packing my bags here. How about you? Oh, packing list. Okay, hold on one second. Oh, no. So 1 carry-on and 1 check bag is what we're working with. Yeah, right now I got 2, 3 and some golf clubs. Yeah. All right. Well, Father Christopher, I hate to do it, but I'm gonna have to let you go. I have some reorganizing to do here. Okay. We'll talk to you. Bye-bye.
Let's see. We land on Tuesday at 3 o'clock, which means we should be able to get to that gelato place by 3:30. Now, yeah, we want to go to the Gucci store because the Gucci store is right by there. Always best to get Gucci in Italy. Then we can go Uber over to the Colosseum. Oh, dinner at the Goose. Gotta get some good food there. Food is always so good. Sistine Chapel closes at 5 p.m. I better call Sam, make sure he got those tickets. All right, let's see. Hello, Sam. Hey, it's Father Christopher. How are you doing? Oh man, awesome. Really looking forward to our trip. I was calling about the tickets to the Sistine Chapel. What do you mean we're not going to have time to go to the Sistine Chapel? We're going to Italy, we're going to Rome, and we're not even going to see the Sistine Chapel? Look, maybe if we skipped a few of those churches, we may have some time, right? More free time, right? I mean, how many masses do we really need to go to anyhow?
Hi, my name is Father Alvin Tay. One of my favorite places in Assisi is the Portiuncula, the Basilica of St. Mary of the Angels. It is the place where St. Francis founded the Order of Friars Minor. It is where he welcomed St. Clare, and it is the place where he died. As a Franciscan, it is a special place where I can feel I can connect to the Order. It is a place where I can feel the peace of St. Francis, especially when I am in front or inside the little church of the Portiuncula, which St. Francis himself has rebuilt.
While there were plenty of superheroes I wanted to be when I grew up, there were other people I looked up to and wanted to emulate. I wanted to be a saint. Well, as much as I love the New Orleans Saints, I certainly don't have the athletic school to pull that off. But I do strive to be a Christian in heaven. That's what a saint is, someone who is in heaven. Now, to be a canonized saint by the Church requires more than just sanctity, but also a couple of miracles and a lot of popular devotion. In this video, we will look at both Saints Francis and Clare, who were not only saints, but took on almost superhero-like qualities that can inspire us all to be the best version of ourselves. But, as you'll quickly learn, like the famous poet Oscar Wilde once wrote, every saint has a past, and every sinner has a future.
You've been talking about St. Francis, who was quite the hero in Assisi, but he was not the only local one. I'd like to talk to you a little bit about St. Clare, a young woman from an aristocratic family in Assisi, a contemporary of Francis, but slightly younger than him. Following the example of Frances, she set out on a similar way of life. She was sort of like Wonder Woman, unafraid to carve out her own path. As I mentioned, Claire was from an aristocratic family. In her household, there were 7 knights. She had 2 sisters.
That's a little bit of a preview about what the videos have in store for you. So again, I'm excited to share those. I know these guys are as well. They put a lot of time and a lot of dedication into making these very entertaining, not only for high school kids, but also for you as well. So that is going to be available through the franciscanpilgrimages.com, our website. I'll give a detailed listing about where to find that later on in this video, but it'll basically be on the high school page, and then there'll be a link linked to all of the materials. So the PDFs for the instructional guide for the instructors, as well as the student guide, and each of a link to each of the videos that you will be able to use as you see fit. So very easy, very accessible. And like Father Christopher and I were talking about earlier, hopefully this is something that we'll be able to build on. And if this is something that you really enjoy, hopefully we're able to update it when we are able to go back to Assisi in Rome and have more interactive stuff, man on the ground, woman on the ground stuff live from the actual places that you're learning about. So that is something that we are very excited about for the future.
I was surprised to see how much Father Chris looked like Drew Brees.
Ironic, Drew Brees. And it's one of the things this has been a lot of fun working on, and we just want to share some of our passions, some of our joy and experiences of Assisi with you. This will never be able to replace the whole thing, but hopefully give everyone a little taste, a little, something to whet the appetite, and something to help, students get excited about Frances, Claire, and Assisi.
And one thing I do have to mention before we go is that obviously Greg has been with us the entire time, and he did mention earlier that he was one of the spearheads, one of the leaders for our veterans virtual pilgrimage that we did several months ago now. And Greg is actually working on one that, depending on when you watch this video, it might have already been released. It's about the messiness of life, which I think that's pretty spot on for what we're going through as a human race right now. Greg, can you kind of give a little bit of a preview about what that'll be like?
Yeah, so it's a virtual pilgrimage, St. Francis, walking with God through the messiness of life. We have Sister Ann Bremer, Dr. Alexandria Egler, and Dr. John Cruz working with me. And essentially what we're taking a look at is, I think one of the things this year has taught all of us is life doesn't unfold as we expected, or never unfolds cleanly. And this year really kind of magnified that tenfold. And so I think one of the things we take a look at is the life of St. Francis, and maybe breaking down some of the misperceptions people might have. As Chris, Father Chris, you mentioned, how did that go about what Oscar Wilde said about every saint has a future?
Every saint has a past, and every sinner has a future.
And I think some of St. Francis's own experiences didn't unfold as cleanly as we've been led to believe. He had a very complicated life, especially after he returned from war, and the experiences that brought him down to this to his life of ministry that he eventually had. And so it's essentially a pilgrimage, a virtual pilgrimage on breaking down some of the misperceptions people might have, dealing with the messiness we all have in our lives, and looking forward, looking ahead for the future that we all can embrace.
Like I said, that's going to be a pilgrimage that is you do not want to miss. So that is coming up later next month. I should say next month if you are watching this in January. That's the weekend of February 19, 20, and 21. Greg, is that correct?
That's right. And then our plan is, our plan is to keep it limited to about 50 to 60 participants, but then put it online afterwards for everybody to view.
Great. I think that sounds good. It's something we're very much looking forward to. And there will be a Pilgrimage Perspective episode about that. So Greg, check your email. So we can, I haven't sent it yet, but I will send it soon to all the participants. So we can have kind of a preview, a little bit expanding upon what Greg just mentioned. Is there anything else you guys want to add?
I would just like to say, I thought Sam and Father Chris, you did a great job.
Absolutely.
The way you engage, the way you made it fun and interesting and engaging, I thought was fabulous.
Agreed.
Yeah, thank you very much. It was a lot of fun doing it. Took a little bit, but we got there. It was a lot of fun though. I'm so happy we could do it. It gave us a little bit of a taste of the pilgrimage that we couldn't quite get this year.
Yeah, and we hope that, as we found joy of putting it together, and we hope that, it could be something of a joy of something of a piece of joy and something to enjoy, and also a piece of kind of reflection. It was for, at least for, for myself, it provided me an opportunity to kind of reflect on my own life and, where I saw Francis and Claire in my life. And I think that was a really powerful experience for me.
Yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly. That'll do it for us. Hopefully, this is a good preview about what the high school pilgrimage on the virtual side of things is going to look like. If you have any questions, you can always email me or call us at the pilgrimage office. We'd be more than happy to help you out. And if you have questions for Father Christopher or Sam, we will make sure to forward them on and make sure you get any of the answers from them. That'll do it for us right here on FranciscanPilgrimages.com.